Assalamu alaikum. So I am really bad at making sure that my schedule so far allows me to log on at 11 a.m. And I know that's bad. I'm going to get better, I promise, because the goal is to be consistent at 11 a.m. So I am in the process of making our dinner sandwiches for iftar, because in America today it is the 4th of July, which is Independence Day, and although we do not celebrate Independence Day, it's the only time where you have fireworks, so we go and enjoy the fireworks. And so for iftar, we're actually having sandwiches because the fireworks is during iftar. So there's a couple of things that I wanted to just remind you guys of. So alhamdulillah, we have like 1-2 days max, no, actually 1 day to the end of Ramadan. So alhamdulillah, and it's bittersweet. So it's good, but we're like, yay, I can have morning coffee. I can have morning coffee soon. So inshallah, tomorrow is going to be our last day fasting. And Eid comes. So if you did well as far as making healthy eating choices during Ramadan, then alhamdulillah. But I know that it was a struggle, because after such long days, it's like during the day, especially if you have to go shopping and then you're fasting while you're shopping, and you're like picking up stuff that you know you shouldn't pick up. But we are almost to the end. So one of the things that often happens on Eid is everybody totally overeats. So if you want to use Eid as your cheat day because you've been doing really well during the entire month, then go for it. I am a person that I believe in balance. I believe that having 1 day of having all the food that you like isn't going to make you gain 1,000 pounds or make you necessarily unhealthier, as long as it's balanced out. Well, Eid Kareem, Rosalina, Adam, Firoz, Eid Kareem to you. But here is a tip that can help you. So first of all, we know that on the day of the Eid al-Fitr, that the sunnah is to eat before the Eid Salah, right? Because this is how you distinguish the day from Ramadan, that we can now eat. So I would suggest that you certainly get up in the morning and make sure that you have some protein source. So I'm a huge advocate of protein. I don't care how you get it, whether or not you get it from a vegetarian source, or if you get it from a meat source, or you get it from a supplement source like whey protein or casein. Protein is kind of like ideal for maintaining your energy, keeping you full longer, boosting your metabolism. So I am a huge proponent of protein because I don't think people get enough of it in their diets. But the great thing that it does, when you know you're going to be around a lot of delicious food, and not that you can't have it, but you want to limit the amount that you have, you want to get up in the morning, you want to have some protein, because protein keeps you full longer. So what's going to happen if you get up in the morning and you have, say, eggs, or an egg sandwich, or eggs and toast, or something like that, or some chicken or fish, or whatever you eat in the morning, whatever your cultural food is. If you eat that in the morning, what happens is that you feel full longer, right? So when you feel full longer, when you get to the big spread that has all of the sweet foods and fatty foods and all the stuff that we really like, you're going to eat less of it because you're simply not going to be that hungry. So that's really important. So that is one tip for the Eid. The second tip that I would make sure that you do during the Eid is you be that person that brings the fruit salad, or bring a bag of apples, or you be that person, because even if we can get like 1 or 2 servings in of fruits and vegetables, then it's gonna serve us better in the long term. So it's not that you can't have all of the good stuff, but having just a cinnamon bun for breakfast is not as good as it, at least if you have maybe an egg beforehand, and then you have an apple with that cinnamon bun, whatever you like. So I am not telling you do not enjoy your Eid. Definitely enjoy your Eid, and if that means enjoying your favorite foods, then definitely do that. So I have a couple of questions. Let's go through some questions. Why do some gain or lose during Ramadan? So that's a really interesting question. Some people gain weight during Ramadan, some people lose weight during Ramadan. And it really is about energy balance. People that gain weight during Ramadan, in general, it's because at nighttime when they break fast that they overeat, right? So one of the things that happens when we go such a long day without eating anything, or if you go any long period of time, is your metabolism starts to slow down and goes into starvation mode. Ramadan doesn't change this. This is just the physiology of the human body. That's not necessarily a bad thing, because in starvation mode, a lot of other good things happen during the fast. We know that some of the benefits of fasting is that it actually boosts your metabolism. It actually helps to get out the cellular toxins of your body. It has a lot of physical benefits. But one of the, and I said it not boosts your metabolism, it boosts your immune system, not metabolism. It reduces your metabolism. Your metabolism slows down. So your metabolism is the process of your body converting calories into energy. Obviously, you don't have that many calories to convert during that long period of time where you're not eating, so it's not working as efficiently. And what happens is that people just overeat at night, or they eat way too much in the morning. So it's really about a calorie balance. And then that coupled on the fact that you tend to just expend less energy when you're fasting because you don't have the energy. So whereas, for example, you may be a person that's really, really active and you tend to be a little bit more tired on those days. And so the combination of eating more and in the evening time, or when you can break fast, and expending less energy, and I'm one of those people, I probably have taken a nap, I would say, most days in Ramadan, right? Whereas outside of Ramadan, I wouldn't be sleeping in the middle of the day, but I need that nap because my energy is really low. So the combination of eating too much and expending less energy is the way that people gain weight during Ramadan. Some people tend to lose weight during Ramadan. In general, most people that lose weight during Ramadan will gain it back within about 3 to 6 months, right? So we can talk about that next week, about how do you lose the weight and actually keep it off, right? So part of that is because the people you gain the weight right back, or back within about 3 to 6 months, is because you begin back to your normal eating habits. You go, you tend to, and then you have to adjust again, because we go from not eating from 18 hours to actually being able to eat in regular intervals. And whereas you maybe had a groove or a certain diet that you followed beforehand, and then after Ramadan you have to kind of like get back into it, and so that process tends to take people some long time. So that is how people gain and lose weight during Ramadan. Generally, I say to people that if you have gained or lost more within 5 pounds of your pre-Ramadan weight, that's more likely just dehydration than the food that you're not eating. I don't really consider that gain or loss, but if you've done more than 5 pounds, then you probably actually have changed your actual weight. One of the interesting things that I found during Ramadan, and this is just for me personally, I keep up with my body fat percentage, and although I have not lost a lot of weight during Ramadan, my body fat percentage has changed significantly. Like it has reduced a lot. So I think that that's really interesting, that if you continue to make healthy eating choices, and even if your weight itself isn't moving well, if you keep up with your body fat percentage, then you'll see that there's a huge difference. So that may be the case for people who say, well, I haven't gained or lost a lot of weight, or my weight is the same, but my clothes is definitely looser. So what that means is that your adipose tissue, which is your stored fat, is actually reduced, and that is a good thing. That is what we want. When we talk about changing our body physically, there's three things that you want to take into account. We don't want to stay stuck on a scale. The scale can give us an indication of where we are, and we should pay attention to it, but also your body fat percentage and your measurements, like your physical size. So those are the three things. When someone tells me, well, I've hit a plateau, I haven't lost weight, I say, before we say it's a plateau, let's check all three of those things. So those are the three things that you should be keeping up with if your goal is to lose weight or to change your body fat, or the way that your body is shaped. Those are three things. What is the first food we could eat on Eid morning? Abdi, we just said that, right? We said what we want to do is you want to have some protein, Abdi. You want to have protein. Protein keeps you full longer. So it doesn't mean you can't have those sweet, delicious Somali foods. You know, we all have our cultural sweet foods that we want to have. But it means that you're just going to have less of it, because if you're having protein in the morning, you're going to feel full longer. Right? So what happens is, instead of you eating a whole plate of sweets, it'll come down to like maybe a half a plate of sweets, because you're not that hungry. And so having some protein in the morning, whatever that cultural protein is for you. So that could be meat, like lamb, beef, chicken, fish, seafood, shrimp, what else? Crab, lobster, all of those things are protein. So just to clarify, I want you to think about protein as this: anything that has eyes, had eyes, or will have eyes, right? So think about that for example. Anything that had eyes. So if you have a piece of steak on your plate, when it was a part of the cow, it had eyes, right? Anything that has eyes, often people will say cook the whole fish. It actually has eyes. Anything that will have eyes, if you think about an egg, if it was allowed to mature into a chicken, it will have eyes. So that is what you think about in when it comes to protein. You want something that has a full what's called amino acid profile. So it's a little bit more complicated if you are vegetarian or you're vegan and you don't eat meat or animal products. If you do, then you want to make sure that you're combining the proper foods that will have a complete amino acid profile. So for example, soy products, so if you're having tofu, is actually one of the only vegetarian sources that has a full amino acid profile. What that means is that an amino acid that makes a complete protein, it's several components, and most vegetarian sources don't have all of those components in one thing. So for example, beans in themselves have some of the amino acid profiles of protein. So they do have protein, but it's not a complete protein. You actually have to add the beans to rice that has the other amino acids, and you put it together and it makes a full amino acid protein. So when you think about as a vegetarian, am I having enough protein? Don't just think I'm having beans, because beans is not a complete protein. You do want a complete protein. So there's two sources that have a full amino acid profile in nature, and that is soybeans and quinoa. So those are the two things that you can actually say, well, I'm having a full amino acid profile, it's a full protein. But again, you have to also take into account that that the amount is much smaller than if you ate a meat product, okay? The way you serve, Emma, the way you serve food on the Eid is crazy. Let me tell you, it's not just being Asian. I think it's just everywhere. We just connect food with pleasure and community. This is actually just a human thing. It's not really for any particular cultures. Our food may change, but the culture of eating connected to community is just a natural thing for human beings. Because if you think about it, when we're first born, our first experience with food is our mother's breast milk, and that is automatically connected to love and caring and feeling that feeling of love and connection. And so from a child, particularly a child that's breastfeeding, even if you know, some people bottle feed their babies, just think about the way a baby is cradled, right? So it's a conditioning that we actually have from birth, that when we think about joy and happiness, for the vast majority of us, we think about food. So that's one of the reasons why I tell people all the time that I am such a foodie, because even though I love healthy food and I love, making sure that everything stays in balance and that we are really making sure that we're eating the best to benefit our body, I am not a type of person that really advocates for people who never eat this type of food or never eat that type of food. Food really does bring us joy. Food really does bring us comfort, and it makes us feel community. I think that the act of anyone fixing a meal and preparing it for their family and loved ones, that it's really about that transfer of energy of love that goes into the food that you feed to other people. So every so often I like to eat out and enjoy having a night off from cooking or nobody having to cook, but that's certainly not a regular part, because when people fix your meals inside of a restaurant, they're not putting that love or that spirituality inside of your meal. They're not stirring your pot with Bismillah or knowing that they are giving you something that is going to benefit you and it benefits them in their heart by giving it to you. And food does that. It draws us together. So whatever culture you are, whatever country that you're in, having food as a way of connecting is actually a wonderful thing. I really do. And I enjoy food, right? You don't have to eat the whole plate, but you have a little bit of here, a little bit of there. So I think that's a good thing, especially on a day that we're supposed to celebrate. And I don't know, for me, I feel like, especially for Eid al-Fitr, we have gone 30 days of fasting for 18 hours a day, right? 30 days is a long time. That's a lot of sacrifice, and we are going to be celebrating that we can eat. So what do we want to do? We want to eat. So inshallah, enjoy it. I would say enjoy it. So even if you're Asian and your food is crazy, just enjoy it. You know what? I also too want to remind you, speaking of it, I want to see what you're doing for Eid. So my friend Malika, she had a great idea, which is let's share Eid by hashtagging Eid Goes Live throughout the day and throughout your Eid celebrations. Like, that would be awesome. And so when we're on social media and we click Eid Goes Live, we will be able to see Eid, how it's celebrated everywhere, in Morocco, in Pakistan, in America, in Canada, in Britain, everywhere, in Asia, in Indonesia, anywhere that you are celebrating, we all celebrate together and at the same time. So that would be awesome. So not that we're going to sit down on social media, because we're going to celebrate, right? But at least the next day or at night, we can scroll through, because we're voyeurs. That's what we do on social media. We can scroll through and we can see the wonderful communities and the wonderful celebrations and all of your delicious food. Oh, that is what I'm going to look for. I want to see your food. So remember, on Eid, you have to hashtag Eid Goes Live. Make sure you make your status public so that we can see it and we can see how you celebrate Eid wherever you are, because Islam is, we are all one ummah, but we are all very different, but we are unified. So inshallah, that's going to be really cool and a really epic thing. So make sure that you hashtag that. So if you don't have any more questions, I am going to talk to you on Wednesday. So ladies, this one is for the ladies in particular. It may be really interesting. I want to give you heads up that on Wednesday on my show, even if Wednesday is the Eid, I actually pre-recorded the show and I will put a link. I did a very fascinating interview with a Yale researcher who specializes in PCOS and fertility. And it was, I have to say, of all of the radio interviews that I've done, this is definitely up on my top 3, because I really love when people come on and they actually have science and practical information. And so not only did she give information about what PCOS is and how it affects fertility and how it affects our weight and how it affects our hormones and the lifestyle that we live, she gave all that information, but she also gave some very practical tips and actually suggested some very specific supplements that people who are struggling with weight can have. And she says that research actually backs it. And people who are who have insulin sensitivity or diabetes, like she gave a specific natural supplement. Unfortunately, I am not going to spill the beans. You're going to have to listen to the show. So I will post the link on Wednesday. It'll be Eid, but the show will still be up because I pre-recorded it. So you're going to make sure you want to listen to Mornings with Mubarak. Come back here to the fan page. It is really, really fascinating. So some of the, I'm not going to give all of the tidbits because I really want you to listen to the show, but some of the things that she talked about is that she actually, which was kind of like disappointing, I think, a little bit to me, but she debunked the myth that women with PCOS actually have a harder time losing weight. She's like, that's not really true physiologically, and she explains why she says that, even though I know all of you ladies with PCOS is going to say, no, I have a really hard time losing weight. She explains why you actually have a hard time losing weight. She actually talked about the connection between PCOS and uterine cancer, which is really important information so that you're aware of that and you are keeping up on your doctor's appointments and checks. What else did we talk about? We talked about lifestyle interventions, like things that you can actually just physically do, you know, in order to treat or balance the PCOS. So PCOS is polycystic ovarian syndrome. It is not a disease. It is not an illness. It is a syndrome. So she explained that syndrome means it's a collection of symptoms, right? So it's not a disease. That's a great thing. So the interview, you'll be able to listen. Come back here to the Fit Muslima fan page, and I'm going to post the link on the fan page. If you are on my email list, you'll get it directly in your email. So if you're not on my email list, you need to click the button above here, like on the page that says subscribe, and it's going to take you to a page where you can put your name and email, and you're going to get a lot of weekly tips and information, and you always get a link to the radio show so that you can make sure that you listen and you're up on the things that we're doing. Got some really interesting stuff coming up, so you definitely want to do that. The other thing that she talked about, and I'll give this one as the last one, is that she talked about how her studies, like her research, so her name is Lubna Powell, and she is a Yale researcher, and she's actually the chair of the fertility clinic at Yale, and she has done a lot of research on the effect of vitamin D in fertility, vitamin D in PCOS, and she actually talked about treating infertility in women with vitamin D, by upping vitamin D. That was really fascinating to me. So this is going to be a great interview, especially for us ladies, really. I mean, it's really information. And even if you don't have PCOS or you don't have fertility problems, having the information and being able to share it is super important. So if it's not an issue for you, maybe you want to share it with a friend or share it on your wall so that people who can benefit from it will benefit from it. So remember, Wednesday on this page. So that is all for me. I have a couple more questions. The interview, all of my radio shows is about 50 minutes. So the interview, and it will be up. It's not. So what happens is on the radio show, you can actually, I'll put the link in the comments. You can actually go back and listen to all of the shows. They air live here in New Haven, Connecticut. So I'm on the radio live every Wednesday morning. But within a few hours, they are on both iTunes and iCloud. So if you Google search Mornings with Mubaraka Radio on iTunes or iCloud, SoundCloud. You should be able to pull it up there, and you can listen to some of the past ones that we've done as well. So we have some really interesting ones coming up. We have coming up in the next month, I have one that talks about Islam in Africa, pre-slavery and during slavery. I have in America. I have a guest that's coming on to talk about the mental health of teenagers, Muslim teenagers in today's world. So we have a lot of really interesting things. The show is called Mornings with Mubaraka, and my tagline is we talk about national issues from a local level through a lens of diversity. So that's what I try to do on the show, and I try to extend that to you guys when it comes to health and wellness. All right, so that's it for me for today. I'm going to finish making these sandwiches that I actually am so excited that I actually found meat with no nitrates. I have turkey bologna with no nitrates. Yes. So I am going to make sandwiches for my family, and we're going to pack up and we are going to head to watch the fireworks. All right. So inshallah, until next Monday, remember to like this video, subscribe to get in my live feeds, share it with other people, and let us create a fit Muslimah revolution. Assalamu alaikum.